Our guest today on the Now Screening podcast needs no introduction, but I'm about to educate you, the loyal listener, in case you don't know. With us today, coming live from Houston, Texas, one of the stars of A24's latest certified banger of a film, the documentary Boys State, nationalist gubernatorial candidate, the people's champ, current Longhorn, and future leader of America, Stephen Garza. Thank you for being here.
Thanks for coming on, Stephen.
Wonderful introduction.
Thank you. I pride myself on these. Stephen, let's just get right into the meat and potatoes, what we came here to talk about. I want to know, what was it like at Sundance? Tell me about Sundance before COVID hit everything. Give me the Sundance rundown.
The film. So when the film premiered in January 24th, 2020, I think is the day.
Amazed you remember the day.
It had been about it. What was that?
It's amazing you remember the day. Everything blurs together for me. But
yeah, no.
Yeah.
So that day, the day it premiered, it had been about a year and a half since Boys State was finished filming, and I didn't expect it to take a year and a half for it to. The directors were very much like, it's 6 months. We'll finish it. It took a year to edit. They took 300 hours of footage, compressed it down to an hour and 45 minutes. 300 hours of footage.
Wow.
And there's so much insanity. Honestly, they could have done like a 10-part miniseries on it. And they wanted to actually. I believe that they ended up with like a 5 or 7 hour cut, and they went to their people and they're like, we can't cut this down anymore.
I want the 7 hour cut right now.
Yeah.
I need it.
And we can talk about the crazier stuff that wasn't in the film that I remember vividly, but so it was we submitted to Sundance, and I know that Jesse and Amanda had gone to Sundance before with their 2014 film, The Overnighters. Yeah. And then in I believe it was early December is when we got we got into Sundance, into the U.S. documentary competition. It's like, oh shit, it was very and so
surreal.
Just counting down the days, to go, because it was gonna be. So I was in college in El Paso, UT El Paso, and so it's Christmas break or winter break, and it's like a month, it's like 5 weeks, and I'm like, okay, that's awesome, because so when winter break ends, the first week of classes is actually that Friday of the first week of classes back was Sundance. So,
oh shit.
What is that? School started on Tuesday. So I went Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and packed Friday, Thursday night. Friday morning, went to one of my classes, and then got my suitcase, went to the airport. We had a stop in Denver, Colorado, and, ran into Renee there because we were going to be on the same flight to Sundance. So we hadn't seen each other since Boys State. We caught up. His friend was there. We, we're on the, we were wildly on the plane. It was so stupid.
Hell yeah. We're back with the boy.
Yeah. We're like, right. We're our plane seats are right next to each other. So we're
hell yeah,
laughing it up and, annoying everybody around us probably. We get there, and so I'm from Texas, obviously, and I haven't been in snow, like proper snow, since I was maybe like 4 or 5 years old. So I don't remember it that much.
Oh my God. So
this is my first time. Like, so it's Park City is so beautiful.
Oh my God.
I never ever thought I would ever go to Sundance Film Festival, let alone to be in a film.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but like,
that's so cool.
I want a house there. It's just
hell yeah.
It's a beautiful town with all these beautiful houses and the snow, and like I'm over here like mesmerized by everybody. Like, oh, it's cool, whatever. And I'm over here like stomping on the snow, picking it up and just throwing it. Like I'm just I fell in love. My mom. So my mom was. I was in El Paso. My mom was also invited to the premiere. So she was being flown from Houston. And then I would meet her at the airport in Salt Lake City, and so we had our own driver named David, who was super awesome. And so the driver picks up me, Renee, Renee's friend, and my mom, and we head over to Park City, which is like a half-hour drive away, right? And so it had been like it had been raining in Salt Lake City, and then as we head to Park City, the rain became snow, and then there's just snow everywhere, and it was
Oh my
so
God.
just taking pictures, and my mom was on Facebook Live and doing it all that. She's awesome.
That's such a mom thing to do.
Yeah, and so it was scary because our flight in Denver was delayed.
Oh no.
So we were like, oh shit. The premiere, it's like 2:00 in the afternoon. The premiere is at like 7 or something. It was like scary. It was
Not gonna make it to the show of your own.
Yeah, I would have been devastated.
What was it? What was your mom's response to seeing you like on the big screen like that?
Yeah, so we got there. We checked into the hotel. They had paid for everything. Nice, very nice place they got us, and we had to go do some picture stuff. We had Getty Images photos, LA Times stuff to shoot right before the film. And so me and Renee go and we see Ben. And so we hadn't seen Ben since Boy State.
Yeah.
And thing is well, we were all mad at each other still.
There was beef pulling up at Sundance.
Well, because I mean, it's legitimate. Like none of it is scripted. Like we were mad, and I didn't speak to Eddie for a year after Boy State, and I didn't speak to Ben until I saw him at Sundance. Because again, like if everybody was very upset at the way things ended up being.
Right.
Naturally, yeah.
Me and Eddie went back the next year. I went as a counselor now, and Eddie was the governor, so he had to go do ceremonial stuff. I ran into him on the street and just cordial hello, right? And then we ended up being in an elevator together, and then we kind of buried the hatchet there, and we're just, like, okay, cool. Eddie, fun fact, is like a TikTok leftist now. He's more liberal than I am.
What?
That's crazy. What the heck?
Okay.
And here I thought Robert had a redemption arc. It turns out
Eddie has like 15,000 followers on TikTok now.
Guys, we did not do enough research before this episode.
Because again, it's been 2 years and so much happens in that amount of time. So we see Ben. With Ben, immediately we bury the hatchet and we start having fun with we're at Sundance. We're being shuttled around. We have a personal driver. We time to go to the premiere. We go take the pictures and do the interview stuff, the press stuff. Again, it's not really the most talked about film going in there. It's like the programmers are hyping it up because they've seen it.
Sure.
You go there, 500 people there, and go to again. My mom doesn't really have any idea what's happening. Like it's hard to explain what you did. She knew that I had been filming something, but didn't imagine it to be like a huge movie thing. So she watches it. We get to the end. I assume there's spoilers allowed, obviously.
Oh yeah, totally.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yep. Talk about anything.
I lose, and I'm just like, fuck. I feel
reliving it, right?
Yeah, really. And so every single election, my heart beating out on my chest. Like I was there. The crowd was so receptive. They roared with laughter. They cheered and clapped. So when we get to that scene, mom's holding my hand, she's crying, I'm crying, she's holding me and kissing my head and all as it's happening.
Oh my god!
Because she's hearing my conversation with her, and so the theater fades to the screen fades to black, and there's just silence. They put taps and then as part of the song, and it fades out, and for me the only thing that it was reminiscent was when Iron Man died in Endgame. And
holy shit!
Yeah. It was just all I heard was sniffles across the theater, and then and then when Renee says the fantastic politician quote, they fucking lost it. They completely laughed and cheered and clapped and just forever. It was, and then
Renee had some banger lines.
Yeah. He told me, he's like, man, they use all my good lines in the trailer. There's nothing to expect now.
It doesn't matter. It was great, even though I'd seen the trailer.
Anytime he was on fire the whole time. That guy's awesome.
So we the Q&A afterwards, we're all doing everybody, all the producers, all the press or the people who were involved with Concordia Studio, who was the funder of the film. standing ovations, and it's my turn to talk. And so I want to acknowledge my mom, but I'm still very much choked up, and all I can get out is "Hi, Mom." And immediately all of them stand up and give her a standing ovation as she's crying, filming it, and just wonderful. And this would like repeat for the next 2 days, because then we were there for 3 screenings, one Friday, one Saturday, one Sunday. And it was just crazy, like, and then having, walking around Park City, just, like we, after the premiere day, we didn't really have a lot to do. Like we had to go do Q&As at the screenings, but those were like, in the evening. Actually, no, the second day of the screening was like at noon. So like we woke up and ate breakfast and then went to the screening, and that was fun. And then the Q&A, I sat with a random lady like next to me. And so like she was crying when I was crying. And then afterwards, like clap, and I said, "Did you like it?" And she's like, "Oh my God, it's you." He hugs me.
I love that.
Yeah. And it's so, and then, so we're just kind of like hanging around. It was Ben's birthday weekend. So he went to go skiing. Renee went off to go, we're all kind of doing, my mom, was enjoying like being in the hotel and ordering food service and all that kind of stuff. I was over there just kind of, I wanted to, explore and walk around. She's not, at the time was like, her knees were bad, and so she couldn't do too much of walking. So walking around, getting stopped on the street and asking for, it's like, oh, this is really cool. This is a really neat feeling. I ran into Elizabeth Moss at yeah, and it's so embarrassing. So the Parkland kids were there. So Emma Gonzalez, David Hogg, they were like, I was at like the IndieWire studio to like take a picture or something like that, and she was there.
So cool.
Because she was in I forgot what film she was in at that premiered at Sundance, and I happened again. I was. I don't know if you guys saw. You guys probably know her from Handmaid's Tale and all that, but I know her. I never watched that. I know her from The West Wing, as
of course.
Yeah, the president's daughter, Zoe. I was fucking wearing a Bartlett for President sweatshirt. So she saw it and laughed and thought it was the cool, like, and like, I'm wearing your fictional dad's fucking campaign stuff on my, and she thought it was super cool. She was very, very, her publicist was so mad at me for like, but she was very nice. She was nice. And I actually, I think a few hours later, I was crossing the street looking at my phone. I shouldn't have done that. But then a SUV honks at me, and I'm like, "Oh shit, sorry, right?" And then I get out the way, and then I see SUV after SUV after SUV. I'm like, "That's fucking Hillary Clinton's motorcade."
Oh my God!
She was there for her Hillary series on Hulu.
Yeah.
That premiered in Sundance. So I was like, I waved at all the cars, not knowing which one she was in.
Oh my God!
Hoping you would see, but I was just like, "Oh wow!" I just held up Hillary Clinton. That was so then it was such a fun weekend. I mean, getting the after party on Saturday was very nice. Everybody was super nice. Got to meet a lot of cool people. Lorene Jobs, who's one of the financiers of the film, she's amazing, and she like super fun. I danced with her. My mom danced with her. Like we danced with Lorene Jobs, like I filmed my mom, like this is, she was having such a grand old time. And time to go on Monday. It's time to go home. Me and my mom say bye. I won't see her until March when I go back home for spring break. We say bye at the airport. She goes off to Houston. I go off to El Paso, stop in Denver. It's Monday, and I get a call, or no, I get a getting Instagram message from somebody that had followed me from the film, and I followed them back. And when I got off the plane,
I'm just kidding.
I get a text from them, and it says, "Congrats, Apple." And I'm like, what does that mean?
Oh my God.
I look up voice. I just type in voice on Google, and then I get the Hollywood Reporter saying that we were sold to Apple in A24.
Wow.
Yeah. So here I am at the airport, like, and
Yeah.
nobody knows around me, right?
How can you even like?
And there's there's nobody for me to so I start making phone calls to my mom, my dad, and my girlfriend and my family, everybody. Like, hey, they bought it, like we got this, we got picked up.
So good.
Yeah, so it was, and because I'm not, I'm not sure how true or accurate those reports were, and we don't, it happened, but like the fact that there was a bidding war between like three major studios from Netflix and Hulu who wanted it, like they all bid the same amount of money, like whoa, they they really loved it. So
yeah,
it's and then
and rightfully so. It's a smash.
Right.
It's huge.
So, it's great.
It's crazy to go from that to college in El Paso, and so like I'm just a normal student, right? Like nobody has seen it outside of Sundance. Nobody has seen it outside of what they showed. I was in my dorm. I lived by myself. I was in my dorm eating Jack in the Box tacos.
Oh my God.
Scrolling through Twitter when it popped up, Boy State wins grand jury prize, which completely 100% was not expecting. I'm like, oh, this film's gonna win or something like that, right? I said, okay, maybe it'll pick up like one of the smaller awards or whatever.
Right.
And then when I saw that I have been keeping up, with like the smaller, maybe we get something, and then by the time it seemed like it was gonna be the big ones, I'm like, whatever,
Yeah, we're not gonna get anything.
Because it's you have no expectations, and then just again, I'm by myself, and.
But you're celebrating with tacos, right? So that's
right.
Yeah. So it's just like, whoa, it's surreal. We didn't know when I met Jesse and he cast me as a subject that A, I was gonna do well at Boy State, and B, that it would become what it became. And it's I think it's very timely, and it's funny. It's it can make you laugh, it can make you cry, it can make you cheer, it can make you boo. It can leave you more hopeful or less hopeful of the future of our country. And I try to go for the more hopeful part, but it's been such a crazy journey. So
yeah.
I mean, it's I still, even now, like I find myself thinking about it, like, this is insane that I'm doing this right now.
It's such like a perfect microcosm of American politics as a whole, and it's so entertaining. I have to say that trailer is one of the best trailers I've ever seen. Maybe it's so hype.
In the bait camp look cool. How could they? The music. I think it's Peter and the Wolf at the beginning, and it ends with like the anvil chorus or something like that. It's like, and the film is so cinematic for a document. I mean, like there was. The thing, Jesse's previous film, he shot by himself on location for 2 years, The Overnighters. And with this one, there was a camera crew of seven. There was seven camera crews following everything, following myself, Ben, Renee, Robert, B-roll, the conventions, the meetings.
Yeah.
And wide, I guess with the wide lens, because it's, it was meant to be in a theater. And how it, like it's beautiful. Like the it's just, I have no, like, I had a C in my film class. Right? So like, it's like, this is, I get the C like a month before Boy State. Like, it's like January. I get like, class ends in like middle December. Boy State premieres in late January. And I'm at the after party with Davis Guggenheim. He did the, An Inconvenient Truth with Al Gore won the Oscar. Yes. He's one of the executive producers on the film, and talking to him, and I'm like, I got to see in a film. He's like, you're in one.
Yeah.
How?
How'd you blow it? No.
Because I'm not like I like films. I'm not like a huge film, like I don't know like the history of films or anything like that.
Sure.
I thought we watched some pretty good movies. We watched Raging Bull.
Yes.
An Inconvenient, or not An Inconvenient Truth. It's with Steve Buscemi. It's Living in Oblivion is what it's called. With Steve Buscemi. It's a funny movie. There was, what else did we watch? I can't remember. I remember Raging Bull. I think so. It was
one thing. One thing I do want to ask is, so when you heard the reports that you weren't even sure that were true about A24 taking the film on, did you know much about A24 or A24 movies? Because I do want to say, like, us three are huge A24 fans, and we really love their movies.
I knew that they were a very hot indie, it's, I saw somebody tweet it a few weeks ago, like A24 strategy is to only put out good movies.
Yes.
That's
pretty
the
much.
marketing strategy, right? It's not to put out anything that's not good. And I'm embarrassed to say that I don't think I've watched an A20, and like so I know that I have a list that I know Uncut Gems, I know Midsummer, I know there was
The Lighthouse, dude. The Lighthouse.
So many good ones.
Moonlight. Moonlight is one of them. I'm checking. I have a list that I'm prepared to watch because I'm in one, right? So I'm it's a real cool boost. That it gives the film is like it's an A20. It's produced by them. It's to have their support is such a huge thing. So very, very thankful for that. They're awesome. But I had never watched, I like the logo. I might buy like a shirt or something with it, but
I think we all have shirts.
yeah, I haven't seen any. So this is the first time I've mentioned that publicly. So
oh no.
They're gonna never been asked, but
we'll make sure to put that clip on Twitter and tag
Yeah,
A24.
yeah.
No, I'm just kidding.
They're super cool.
You haven't seen an A24 movie, but what are some of your favorite movies? Or like what have you been watching in quarantine? Like what is the big
I've been playing a lot of games.
Hell yes. We're also
yeah.
gamers, so
This is
we
we are gamers
do
as
game
well.
talk, too.
But I play a lot of strategy games. I have been playing Fall Guys recently.
Hell yeah, of course.
Sir.
We need to play some Fall Guys together.
Yeah, I play on PC and I play on PlayStation 4. I haven't watched my favorite films. I have a lot of films that I like. I think if I had to give you like a top 5 off the top of my head.
Wait, I want to do this. Let's do Mount Rushmore. I mean, I know it's a bastardization. It's a horrible historical monument on indigenous people's land. Give me
I guess I'll base it off of, there may not be the best movies, but they're the movies that I've watched the most and then can quote.
Oh yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay. So the Washington of this immediately has to be Star Wars Episode 3 Revenge of the Sith. I grew up with the prequels, right?
Yeah.
The dialogue is sometimes pretty awful, but goddamn do I love that movie.
Underrated movie. I still really love that movie. To be honest.
So that like my girlfriend thinks it's, so I introduced her to Star Wars. So I made her watch all of them last year.
Dude. Same.
Yeah. It's like, okay, I want to go. Like, I'm going to watch the opening night of The Rise of Skywalker. Like, we bought like midnight tickets.
Yeah.
Or we're gonna, like, I told them, like, when they go on sale, I'm buying them. I want you to come with me, but we have to watch all of them. Yep. And so we watched 1, 2, 3, Rogue One, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then watched The Rise of Skywalker. And so definitely Episode 3 is up there. The second one has to be Inglourious Bastards.
Okay.
Okay, nice.
Right. Tarantino.
I mean, that's if I said Pulp, if I said Pulp Fiction.
Wow.
Actually, just watched for the first time a few months ago, and I'm not like a Tarantino fan or anything like that,
Same.
but
got to see it before you die, right?
It's an
essential viewing.
The third one would probably be another Tarantino, and I think Django Unchained is an amazing movie.
Yeah. That's my pick for best Tarantino, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's a great movie.
Everybody, Sam Jackson, Leonardo DiCaprio, Jamie Foxx, and then Christoph Waltz is, I think, what makes those two move. Both of Inglourious Bastards.
He's an incredible actor. Yeah. He
won Oscars for both of them. It's like every single Tarantino movie he's been in, he's won an Oscar.
His performance in Inglourious Bastards is unreal, and I Django Unchained is great too. But like that was my first exposure to him, and it blew me away.
Yeah,
the scary in it. I think he won. It's like, again, I am speaking as an unqualified person, but like for me, that first scene with the milkman is like, just give it to him. Like he scared.
Absolutely,
I agree.
The fourth one is, oh man. This is, Gosh, this is tough. What would be the fourth one? The only one that I can think about right now is The Dark Knight, just because.
Oh yes.
Mhm.
Oh, classic.
Yeah, I mean, like I can't. I'm trying to think of like what's something else besides The Dark Knight.
No,
I can't think of anything.
it deserves a spot up there, man. That movie.
Yeah, I mean, it's just and I've watched Heath Ledger and everything else, The Patriot and all that kind of stuff, but just it's mesmerized, just his character, like that's what makes the film, and
so transformative.
So yeah, again, I don't watch too many movies.
Well, it sounds like you've seen some good ones.
Yeah, your list is good. So
so I mean, but I think just because of Heath Ledger's Joker is so good, but then also Joker I think is a good movie. I mean,
Joaquin.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was a hard watch for sure though. It was very uncomfortable to watch it sometimes. It's just like, he's in
a dark place for sure, and it cringy almost, but yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, no TV show. I think I watch more TV shows. I just watched The Sopranos for the first time last year, and I finished. It's so amazing. I can't believe that I just spend my time watching clips on YouTube of The Sopranos and like just quoting stuff.
Yeah, I mean,
so
hand up. I haven't finished it. I know I need to, but yeah.
It's because my brother started watching it first, right? And I saw like the first 2 episodes with him, and I thought it was really interesting.
Yeah.
He still hasn't finished it like a year later, and I finished it in like 3 months. I try to do that, but I haven't been watching too many things. I don't know. Again, like for me, I'd rather play games. I pre-ordered Crusader Kings 3, which came out today, and so
that's the plan when we hang up, right? You're gonna go game.
Football guys. Yeah.
We'll make a second podcast just for gaming, and then have you on
gaming with Steven.
So I mean, so I wonder if I could ask you guys, what was your thoughts? More specific about what you liked in Boy State. Like, I guess what's your favorite scene in the film? Like what for me is Robert's.
Okay, let me think. My favorite scene, honestly, the scene that hit me the hardest is near the end, when I was so fully invested in your campaign. Like honestly, I was unabashedly supporting you for governor, and I really enjoyed all of your speeches. I could choose any of your speeches for this, but the ending when the results are starting to get announced and you start hearing the Federalist wins, my hope was kind of starting to deflate, and I knew like, okay, maybe Steven's not gonna win. And then it does inevitably get announced that Eddie wins, and it actually like hurt. Like, I had gotten so invested in the film that like it really disappointed me. But the best part for me was the scenes following that, where you're still in the crowd right after it gets announced, and guys are coming up to you and they're hugging you and they're saying like, listen, like, you ran a great campaign, like you did everything you could do. This is amazing. Like, you're a great guy. And then particularly that scene where I think you're like indoors and you're sitting down, and somebody that was a guy that was on your campaign walks up to you, and he's crying about how impactful it was. And then you start crying, and you call your mom. That whole sequence for me was incredible, and it was really emotional. I think I teared up a bit at the end there. So that was my favorite, personally.
So that guy who came up to me was the mayor of my city. He's actually one of the more visible people. I don't know if you recognize him. He's the one who touches the turtle. He's the one that pets the turtle when the turtle shows up.
Okay.
He auditions for the talent show singing
Yep.
Firecracker. I think Josh Turner, that's the name of the song. And he's he's like kind of in there in the background, and he's the one that like I got my signatures, and everything. So he had been such a goofball that entire week, like completely like just hilarious. Like, just he was late to everything. You know, he was, you know, like, you know, the worst merit, but the most lovable person.
Yeah.
And so he was the last person I ever thought that would get emotional. So that's why it was like I was getting emotional and teared up. Everybody coming up to me, right? So I go sit down in the corner to like just breathe, and like I'm like almost okay at this point, right? And then like I'm looking down and I see somebody like start walking up to me, and I'm like, he's talking to me, but I'm kind of like wiping my face, and then I look up and I see that he's crying, and then I fucking immediately started crying again and like hugged him. And then now it's time to talk to my mom, and it's just, you know, and
Yeah.
the person who was filming me was Torsten, and Torsten, he's the director of photography, you know, tall German guy, white hair, white beard, like just, you know, love him. He's crying while filming me.
Oh.
And then as soon as he's done, he puts the camera down, he hugs me and kisses the top of my head. Just like completely, like everybody was just so like emotional, you know, the directors were there, and just, it was, it was a lot. It was like, and I think part of it was definitely like the pride and like the happy tears. There was also a sense of a little some the sting of defeat, the bitterness, and then I think the rest of it was just an emotional release of just exhaustion, and just so glad that it was over, because we you know, you can kind of see, you can kind of tell, but we have to wear like jeans with our shirts tucked in, and it's like 110 degrees in Austin.
That was, yeah.
Yeah, we're walking 10 miles a day on average,
Oh my
and
God.
I'm speaking and speaking and speaking, and I'm not Renee carrying a jug of water with me.
That was iconic.
you know, he knew what he was doing, but I didn't. I was like, I'm over here chafing, like you know, it was so miserable. But I think part of it was like the shared misery that we all experienced.
Yeah.
The hey, it fucking sucks, but I mean, at least we're doing it together. Maybe the real gubernatorial race was the friends we made along the way.
Yeah.
So,
The real boy state.
yeah. What about you, Tyler?
Yeah. So for me, I'm gonna do two. If you don't mind, I'm gonna double dip here. I'm gonna do a serious one and then a funny one. All right.
Okay.
Because I do think the film is hilarious, like we kind of talked about.
There's some seriously funny
very
scenes.
Fun. Yeah.
Let's start light. When Robert pulls up on the I guess it would be like
Scooter.
the scooter. Yeah, what would you even call that?
I don't know if you saw. I posted about that on my story.
That's literally, yes. I want to know the details, man.
Yeah. So because I didn't. So and with that, I'll tell you about my favorite scene that I was talking about earlier is the confessional. Right. I didn't know Robert was lying until I saw the film. So I saw him, and I was so like that. It was just, I mean, it's a soliloquy, because yeah, he's talking to the filmmakers, but he's actually talking to himself, and he's having a conversation with his two angels, his soul.
Yeah.
He's talking to them. He's like, I know I shouldn't lie. I hate that politicians lie, but like on the other hand, I understand now why they have to do so, and it's just that's politics, right?
Oh.
And you have been led to believe that Robert is like the Chad, right? You know,
Yes.
yeah,
Well,
like good old boy, like good old Texan,
Southern boy.
Texan, yeah, you know, the accent, the boots, everything. And then he's like, I'm pro-choice, you know. He's very layered and very complicated, and you're like, holy shit, you know.
It's such a beautiful moment. It's
and that just my far and away my favorite scene is that entire. I have like what he said written in like my notes, because I just like, it's just, God, that's such an amazing. I think that in any film is one of my most favorite scenes, and the film that I'm in, it's him. Like it's just that, it's perfect. I asked him, and I'm like, it's always fun. I'm like, why were you on the scooter? And in true Robert fashion, he was just like, so I saw a guy who had the scooter, and I said, hey, could I try that? He's like, go for it, and off I went. And so he wasn't hurt at all. He asked the guy, "Can I have the scooter?" And the phone doesn't explain it. You would think like he hurt himself or something.
Yeah,
That's
I
what
thought,
I
like,
thought.
oh, maybe he hurt himself.
I actually hurt myself, and so if you ever watch Boys State again, look out for this. After I won the runoff, I go back to my dorm to celebrate with my city. The kid Bobby, who's yelling "Steven," like the lovable guy and all that stuff. He is the first person I see coming down to the dorm, or when I go back to the dorm, everybody's there already. Everybody's like, "Hey," and Bobby runs to me, and Bobby is a the bigger, heavyset kid. I'm stocky and all that stuff, but he runs at me, and for whatever reason, I went like this to catch him, and he just jumps, and I step back, and the ankle rolls, and we fall.
Ooh.
And I was in a lot of pain. And so you see, and the power of the movie magic, you see he's hugging me right after we got up. But if you see, I'm laughing, but I'm very much in pain. Like I'm very much like I can't walk. They have to like sit me down. And we're there for like 15 minutes debating whether or not I need to go to the clinic. Because
you needed the scooter. Yeah.
And so like I'm just like I have to walk tomorrow. Oh my god, this is
like 10 miles a day tomorrow.
That's why I'm like if you see the third day, I'm kind of limping. Like I'm kind of like walking a little bit. I have a very distinct walk apparently, and somebody my friends always make fun of it. They say that I waddle instead of walk. And somebody put on Twitter, the guy's a legend. He even his walk is amazing. He has that whole man of the people strut.
Yes, literally.
A screenshot of that, and I posted it on my Snapchat story, and I said the people's waddle.
That's what it is, dude.
Oh yeah, if you see
the swag walk.
Yeah, they were filming, but they kept that out. But like I was like, Eddie's voice was shot and my leg was messed up. It was a very hard day for me to get through the next day, walking around giving those speeches. But what was the other one? The more
the more serious one is, I guess it's a series of scenes that kind of lead up to the first gubernatorial set of speeches for the Nationalists, where Robert is kind of like brainstorming the dick measuring, how he's going to go about presenting this. Yeah. And then he just completely bombs. He just completely beefs the delivery. And it's almost something that's too real. Like, it's like this has to be scripted, but it's not.
So what's that with when he's eating or when he's giving the speech?
It's both, I guess. So it's when he's eating and he's telling his buddies, he's like,
"Oh, like this dick measuring," but I can't say dick measuring. So what do you know?
And then he gets up there to give the speech, right?
And he's like, "None of this," and you can't really because it's widescreen, you can't see it. But he's like putting his head like, "None of this."
And it just kind of like it doesn't hit at all, actually.
Yeah. I was afraid of that. I was afraid of getting that response, right? So it was so insane that they actually like cheered, and that's like I started off very reserved and like from this conversation, like I've always been like this, right? It's just when it's big crowds and it's politics, like I could kind of just go into that mode, and so I'm just very serious and all that stuff. But I'm really like a very, I think, goofy person. And so doing that, there was again, there's a lot that wasn't in the film. More people that were running. There was this guy who was running for governor who spoke, when I gave that big speech and all that stuff, like he had spoken, a few people, I was the last one to go. But I didn't go after Robert. I think Robert was one of the earlier ones.
Yeah, they show the whole line of people.
Yeah. So I was then me and this guy were fighting for the last spot. So he's like, "No, you go ahead." I'm like, "Oh, I insist." He really wanted to go last, and I'm just like, "No."
He wants that recency bias, man. No, you're gonna make a point anyway.
Yeah, no, and so there was this guy. I think his name was Luis. He goes up there, very unassuming, bigger guy, and he goes, and I'm gonna try my best to, and this is basically word for word what he said. "Oh, guys, I just got off the phone with my girlfriend, and I'm gonna be a father." And the entire crowd stands up and claps and cheers for him. And immediately I thought they're gonna fucking vote for him.
Oh my God.
There's like they no like they like it, and like they all just like immediately cheered, like got out of there and they cheered him.
What?
Bro.
And
No.
I thought it's over, you know, like they're gonna vote for him because
The dad vote. Yeah.
yeah, you know, like I might vote for him too, you know. It wasn't until I got the response that I got that I was like, okay, we'll see what happens. He didn't get elected.
Yeah.
But I think then he ended up running for something else, and then I think he won. So whatever, you know, I think about him every day.
Yeah.
I wonder
What a move.
Yeah, but, and another there's this the last thing that the thing that I think if I had to add something silly to the film, something that was a little bit more on the silly side, was this guy who was advocating for the legalization of LSD.
Okay, all right.
So LSD guy, we call him LSD guy.
Perfect.
His name is Brock. And so he has like the whole stoner vibe going on for him, you know, like super, you know, wavy hair and yeah, it's like big circle glasses and like, you know, so he was running on it and like really like campaigning on it. And if he ran for governor, he could have probably won the whole thing because he had them in his hand. He, you know, he was like lip syncing to Queen's what's that?
Bohemian Rhapsody.
Yeah, Bohemian Rhapsody. And like just doing all the like everybody was with him, and so what he would do when the auditorium would be divided into 3 sections, left, center, right, and so he would point at left, and they would yell L, and they would point at the center, and they would yell S, and he would do this hand sign thing.
Wow.
And
wow.
We got in trouble. Boys, I say got in trouble. We went into the auditorium for a general session, and they asked them to turn off the cameras because they heard it was a talk to. So about 2 things. First, seriously, the racism thing that happened with Renee, they were completely like disavowed it, and
it's terrible.
Didn't know who the fucking weasel was that did that. And then second of all, they talked about like that hand sign y'all been doing has been banned from Texas Boys State. The guy who was running for the Supreme Court, and he won.
Wow.
He won the
well, he obviously had a way with the audience.
LSD is legal in Texas.
The epilogue to that is the next year, as a counselor, we're at UT campus. I'm taking my kids to the recreational field at Kyle Field. Is that what it's called? I think it's what it's called. Taking them, and I see somebody. UT also having their orientations for school, and I see somebody. I see that hair. I see those glasses. I see that smile. He's looking at me, and he's smiling. And I run at him with arms wide open. And this LSD guy, to my kids, and I had to tell them the entire story. Like this guy is like a Texas Boys State legend right here. Like only the 1,000 kids that went to Texas Boys State in 2018 will ever know about him, unless there's like a director's cut. He was in the cut before the final cut. He was in it, but they had to cut up a little bit, and so he had to go, which is unfortunate. But
I don't know who I need to email to get that director's cut, but I'm
yeah, I mean, I'm the one asking for it. So.
Yeah, right. Yeah, if you can't get it, I don't think I'm gonna get it. But
they could do what I think like what they did with the Hateful Eight is that they made it like a 4-part series on Netflix. You have like the movie, and then you have like the longer version that's divided into 4 episodes.
Yeah,
I'd watch all of that for sure.
So Girl State is coming.
the
filmmakers that's like what they're pursuing. As soon as the programs come back in person, they're gonna go and probably not in Texas, but I'm super excited and I can't wait for it because I mean I've heard lots of things from people who've gone to like some of it they can be mean. They're some of them are rough, some of them are mean, and I know some of them will like end world hunger and like just be super serious and like they will like fix every single problem the world is facing. They will secure peace in the Middle East. They will end world hunger. They will eliminate cancer. Like they'll do everything, right? And some of them are just as crazy as Texas Boys State. Lord of the Flies. Like
Yeah.
The female version of Trump is running and stuff like that.
Oh,
like,
Jesus Christ.
yeah, and they win. Like it varies by state. So
Oh my.
I can't wait for that. In maybe probably like 2 years or something like that is when that might come out.
Yeah.
If we go back to normal next year, it seems like it might be a problem though. Now people who go to Boy State and Girl State know that there's a film they can watch, and so the thing of documentary is like you don't want to act in front of the camera, so it's just
Right.
You want to be authentic.
it's how do you, now that people know, right, and they're like, I want to be in a big movie or something like, it's, I wonder how they're going to go on about doing that. I'm interested, but yeah.
A funny thing is that I feel like I started getting a lot more interested in politics in college, and I was in student government and things. And so when I saw this trailer, I really loved it. And I started bringing it up to some of my friends, and I was like, hey, did you know about this Boy State thing? And little did I know that people who have been like politically inclined for a while, since like high school, or like super into government, like they all knew what it was already, because there's Boy State in Ohio and Girl State in Ohio. And I was like, wow, I guess I just wasn't on the Boy State wave yet until now. But
it's in every state except Hawaii and Alaska, I think. But Alaska and Hawaii will send their delegates to another Boy State. And you see that there's so many famous alumni, not just politicians, but I know the opening credits has some, there's that picture of a young Bill Clinton meeting John F. Kennedy.
Yeah.
Wild
like
picture.
crazy. Yeah,
Surreal.
it's like a future president meeting the current president, and like, one of them is like a teenager.
Yeah.
But there's so many, like, so Michael Jordan went to Boy State.
No way.
Yeah, James Gandolfini, Tony Soprano went. John Bon Jovi,
Hell yeah.
Neil Armstrong. Like Neil Armstrong. It's like there's so many
wow.
people who have gone and like experienced, like, Cory Booker. Obviously, and Dick. I wonder if Dick Cheney was as ruthless at Boy State.
Yeah.
Probably.
Probably, right.
Warmongering at Boy State.
I don't know if y'all seen Vice. Yeah, I wonder if he was like that exactly.
Well,
Vice is another one. If I got to, I think Vice is one of my. I've watched that I think 3 or 4 times.
Christian Bale is so evil in that. It's so good.
Everyone, like Steve Carell as Donald Rumsfeld is like, who cast this movie? Tyler Perry as Colin Powell, and it works. It's like a serious movie. It's like a it's a comedy, but like, it's, for the most part, it's a very serious movie.
Yeah.
So it's I forgot who played George W. Bush. It was
Sam Rockwell, baby.
Sam Rockwell played him. Yeah. So it's and Amy Adams played Lynn Cheney. It's just a really, really good movie. I like it a lot.
Yeah, it's really well cast.
Yeah. So
Gail, let's do your favorite scene.
Yeah, sure. I guess going back to Rob, we kind of touched on his approach, but I think for me, his whole like arc in the movie, when it ended and he kind of conceded that, your approach was what really spoke to people versus his, like, trying to appeal to the 17-year-old boy mindset. I think that kind of got me. And also, this is like super geeky, but like I seem like an anime scene dude, because I finished Andy knows what I'm talking about, Hunter x Hunter, the election arc.
Yes.
Like,
I know.
you can see like this person is a very genuine person, and they have a very like collaborative approach. And if you're going about it the wrong way, he's like, he's conceding, okay, you really deserve this this role. So I think that was probably one of my favorite arcs. In the whole movie.
Robert is such a sweetheart. I mean, I remember talking to Jesse about this after I went home. It runs from Sunday to Friday is what Boy State is, 6 days. And so when I was home on Sunday, I called Jesse. He give me time to like relax and sleep. And I talking to him about like everything, right? That's all, even though it just happened, it's like there's so many emotions and things going through my mind. And I remember telling him, I'm like, if Robert could have gone up there first and like obliterated me on guns and probably would have won the nomination, but instead he pulled me aside and he said, I'm gonna let you go up there, I don't want to attack you on it. And he didn't like, you know, he said my name wrong, my last name
Yeah.
wrong, but like he didn't mean to, you know, I didn't take any offense to it, and he talked about his positions. And Rob is, it's just and it's so, because people talk to, I've seen, you know, we read stuff and all that kind of thing, but it's weird to consider us characters, right? Because we're not, you know, I'm a real person, and that's, you know, really who I am.
Yeah.
But even though I'm real, you still have like, as in, if they're writing a story about Sex's Voice, they can say, and I can say, Robert's character arc is so interesting. Because
it's incredible.
Yeah, you know, you go from, depending on how you view the film, I don't think the film should be viewed as heroes versus villains, but naturally that's, you know, people view, if you support somebody, you know, you're supporting and you're rooting against, and you think that Robert is the one, like the, you know, she went for governor. The director's thought he was definitely gonna win, you know.
He has the swag, he has the charisma.
Yeah, he had everything, right? And the arc from like, he did something wrong, he realized that it wasn't the way to go about it, he learned, and he campaigned his heart out for me. It wasn't like a lukewarm like endorsement, like he campaigned hard for me. He was super like, you know, 100% like behind me. And he's, I mean, awesome. We talked a lot. I mean, I've talked to him in a few days, because he's doing like blowing up stuff right now. Like literally, he's blowing things. He's in the West Point. Before they start their like schooling, they have like a month of like field training, where they're out there like in the, you know, woods doing you know, stuff and all
literally
that.
blowing shit up.
Yeah, talking to him like, yeah, I shot a rocket launcher, and I'm like,
that sounds like Robert, honestly.
Yeah. So, you know, I'd rather have, you know, I'd rather have nobody, you know, there's no one else I'd rather have defending our country than Robert. I mean, he's going to be an amazing officer. He's a genuinely good person. He has a good heart, and you know, he's very, very smart. He's very funny. You know, I spend like a long time we talk on the phone and just, you know, like, what was that bike?
Yeah.
and all that. Yeah. So I mean,
and the Bitcoin thing, like
the Bitcoin. Yeah. Wow.
I love that he's like, you know, so
I bought some new boots.
I've had to see the film probably 10 times. I've seen it, which is a lot, because like there's people like, you know, so 3 times at Sundance, and then watching it with my family for the first time at home, and then watching it with my girlfriend, and then, you know, doing, you know, Q&A, and, you know, it's you look for different things into, like, there's also, you know, moments that are, but Robert's scenes always are like the standout ones, just because, I mean, he's so lovable, you know.
Totally.
And then getting to see Ben and all that stuff, like the strategizing again, it's very interesting, because you, in a political film, like if in most, if not all, campaign movies, it's only one side. Like, you know, like the Mitt Romney documentary is like filming his campaign, you know, like they only film one side because they only have access to one side.
Right.
It's really the only, you know, this is like, you get to see both sides of it, and them strategizing and then going at it, and then it comes all together, you know. So I think that's what makes it very interesting. I mean, there's a lot of people have seen it so far, which is very, very thankful for. Some celebrities have said some stuff about it, which is exciting. The fact that they're pushing that, it's it's pretty surreal.
Finn Wolfhard with the big shout out on Instagram.
I know.
That was pretty cool.
I was he posted. I didn't see it until the morning, but like people kept tagging me and like sending it to me, and they're like, "Oh my god!" And I'm like, "I've never seen Stranger Things." So I'm like, "Oh shit!" I mean, like, you know, it's just, you know, cool. How big it is, right? You know.
Yeah.
And so he did it. Busy Phillips, she's wonderful. She's so amazing.
I actually know her most from Freaks and Geeks.
My older brother, you know, Freaks and Geeks, White Chicks, Cougar Town.
Yeah.
She's so infectious.
Awesome.
Like her like, and energy is something like, whoa, you know. You know, she's awesome and really cool person. She actually like she posted a screening of the film for like her fans, and we did a Q&A with her afterwards.
Oh, that's awesome.
She's lovely. Few people have seen it, and I was going to say something, I completely forgot. Oh, well. Yeah,
So speaking of Rob, I think this just also is to credit how great that trailer was, because after watching the documentary, I thought back to the trailer, and it's so clever how it kind of misleads you on what to expect. Because if I had to assume what exactly was going to happen just based off that trailer, I would think it would mainly be you versus Rob. I think head to head. And then also, I think in the trailer, Renee, when he says the fantastic politician line, I think when I was watching the trailer, I thought it was about Robert.
No, they zoom into Robert's face, and
yeah,
and they did the same thing in a new ad that came on I saw on I think it was Twitter, a new ad. It's the same thing. It's me walking, and it's him saying it about me. You know, so it's like,
I love that.
I think he's a fantastic politician. It's me walking and me yelling at a speech, and then it's him saying, "I don't think he's a fantastic politician." It's just yeah.
That's a great misdirection.
You don't know. Like Eddie doesn't appear in the trailer. I don't think. He's. You don't know. It's just you gotta watch.
It felt like a twist when they introduced him. I was like, "Who's this guy?"
Who is this? Yeah.
He gets. It's like towards the end of it's like the last 30 or 40 minutes when like after the runoffs that he's announced, but he's like in some earlier scenes, like in the background and stuff like that. You know, when Ben asked me like, who do you think has the best chance? I think Eddie, and Eddie's like putting the flag in the corner or whatever like that. Again, they didn't know how it was gonna go. But I mean, it's been an amazing journey so far, and it's only gonna ramp up with there's lots of stuff coming up, and with the election especially, and hopefully, I mean, I think the shelf life of the film is gonna end up, if what I hope is its legacy is in high school government classrooms. Hopefully with Girl State as a companion piece, and then one day People State.
When you said that,
I was about to bring that up.
So I posted, even put that on Twitter, like that's the only time I ever cringe in the film about me is when I say that, and I actually told the directors they could cut that out when they showed me a rough cut. So because I was being serious.
You were?
And I was joking, right? Yeah. I said People State because Justin Trudeau had said something about like people kind, or like instead of mankind, we should say people kind. Or, I don't know if it was real, if it was a meme, but I saw it somewhere and it was on my mind when I said it.
It was in reference, yeah.
Yeah, I was like, People State. And I'm like, it is like, why aren't we together? That would be a better simulation, right?
Right.
Like People State, and the guy in it, Jared Morris is his name. He's like, People State, and I'm like, oh God.
Yeah, he didn't seem very receptive.
And I'm like, and then for God knows why, I said, I'm just memeing on you. And, like, put my head in my hands, and I was just like,
it was great deflection.
I saw it. It's just like.
Now we have that line immortalized.
To be fair, though,
how many people have seen put that on there? I've seen people say, I'm just like put like on Letterboxd, I'm just memeing on you. I'm just like, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I didn't want that in there.
It's such like a high school guy moment though. I think it should be in the film because it really
I swear I'm not like that at all. I panicked.
Well, yeah, I mean, I would panic too if I felt like he was like really unreceptive to what you were saying.
He got pissed. He really did.
I didn't do that in the speech. Like if I said like anti-secession and they're just crickets, and I'm just kidding. That was a joke.
JK.
Yeah, JK.
No JKs in politics.
It was. That's the only time. It's the only. If I got to like, Steven, go take something out, I wouldn't even think about it. Like they'd be like, okay, Steven, so we're thinking about taking something out, and then before they would finish, it'd be like right here.
Yep.
But they kept and I was like, okay, well maybe it won't come up then. But people keep bringing it up because we talked about like, so on this concept of People State, Steven, and I'm like, Christ.
Oh come on.
Yeah, and
wow.
Yeah, it's It's like,
That's
oh,
so frustrating.
yeah, no, I mean, like everybody finds it funny because everybody knows that I don't like I don't like that scene. And then I also didn't want to offend anybody, by saying
Right.
I don't want people to think I was making fun of it as well. But Jesse was like, I don't think that's it. And I'm like, okay, well, at least not, it's cringy, but at least it's not offensive. So,
Mhm.
yeah.
No, I mean, yeah, I don't think people. I think people realize you didn't mean it in an offensive way. It's,
Yeah,
especially, I think once they get to know you more in the film, they would see that like that would not be, cohesive with your personality. So,
yeah, no, so
one thing I do want to ask is, so it's been, it's been a couple years since Boys State, and you mentioned Eddie, now being a TikTok leftist, he's obviously changed. He's changed a lot. I mean, in the documentary, people are comparing him to Ben Shapiro. So that's obviously a huge difference. And a lot's changed since 2018. And I know from high school to college, people change a lot. And I'm just wondering, when you look back at this documentary and you've watched it 10 times, do you sometimes laugh a little bit at your past self, or do you think do you just see ways that you've grown since then, or just
I'm the president of the Young Republicans at UT Austin, so I'm kidding. I'm not.
Okay.
No, we both pivoted in different directions. No. I think all of us are. I mean, 2 years, especially when you're young, 2 years is a long time. Like from 17 to 19, like Robert's 20 now. I turned 20 in November, and we're God, I don't know how old you guys are, but I just feel old saying that, and I'm it's only
24.
Okay, yeah, right. So just like it's such a it's very formative, especially you go off to college and you're by yourself and you get to be independent, and usually people become more they're saying that people become more conservative as they grow older. I don't see how that's possible. I mean,
right.
I'm pretty I wouldn't say I'm rather more liberal. I mean, we've all gotten wiser with years, so like I just I don't think I'm that different. I know a lot more, I think, than I did 2 years ago about just things in general. Taking college classes and learning more about history and math and science and whatnot. But I haven't. Eddie's change is pretty dramatic. Mine, Renee's basically the same. I mean, I'm basically the same. But Ben and Eddie are the ones. Robert's still Robert,
of course.
and yeah, and we wouldn't want it any other way. And then, but Ben and Renee Ben and Eddie have Eddie obviously, and Ben, don't want to speak for him, but he is kind of toned that he disavows some of the things he did in the film and sees it as corrosive to the health of our country and wants to see less of it, and is able to, and he listens with an open mind. I mean, I believe at Sundance we were all like sitting down, eating lunch with, it was me, Amanda, Jesse wasn't feeling well, so he was, resting at the place he was staying at. So it was Amanda, co-director, me, my mom, Renee's friend, Ben, and as we're eating, Ben and Renee are getting into it over our privilege, and stuff like that, right? And all of us are just
spectating.
Yeah, I know. We're just like Amanda's like, this is amazing. We're just and we're eating, and they are going with like, they are again very. It's a debate. They're having a healthy debate, right? Like, but they're vehemently are disagreeing with each other, but they're like, giving good points on both, like at least what, Ben was like holding his own and Renee was holding his own. And, Renee talks about that a lot, about like, he went into Boy State thinking that he was the smartest person. And then he runs into people like Ben, and he realizes that I need to become better at defending my positions, and better at articulating the beliefs that I hold, because there's some smart people. There's always going to be somebody smarter than you. So, I mean, it's just, I remember that video. I wish Jesse would have loved watching that. But and then we wish we had Robert. That he didn't get permission to get off of like because they only allowed to get off of campus like twice a semester or something.
Right.
So
Wow.
he wasn't there, and we were hoping we were all going to go to South by Southwest. It was going to be all 5 of us for the first time. Me, Eddie, Ben, Renee, Robert. But then South by Southwest was canceled, and then we were going to go with Robert, me, Renee, Ben to New York City, which I'd never been to before, for a screening at the Museum of Modern Art.
Oh my God!
And then COVID shut everything down, and so we, it was, I know.
Best city in the world, dude.
Yeah.
I was like talking like, okay, we're gonna like, I'm like thinking, okay, we're gonna be there for like 2 days, so we gotta plan that things out. Like, okay, I want to go see this, and then this, and then
Yeah, 2020 happened,
Washington
right?
D.C. Orthodox. Yeah, if we wanted. I've never been to,
Yeah.
so I'm hoping in the next year. My goal is to visit D.C. in the next year. So hopefully that happens in one calendar year, I hope.
Yeah, fingers crossed.
Yeah. So.
Really quick, Steven, I don't want to take up your whole night, man. Like, how much more time? Should we just like wrap, or how you feeling? How you doing?
I mean, let me check my phone, make sure nobody's.
Yeah.
It's been great so far. It's been really good.
Yeah. No, yeah, that's what I prefer. I prefer these conversations just because I'm literally just laying back and just talking about it,
Just chilling, man.
Yeah. That's how the pod is.
It's like you have the Wall Street Journal, or you have ABC News, and I'll have to be like,
yeah, no, we're not like
giving that perfect answer. And they're asking me the same questions over and over again. It's like I like having conversations with people and telling them, like I think the funnest ones are like when you guys to tell them things that weren't there, like the little tidbits of like what Robert, the scooter, and all of us being mad at each other and all that. It's very, that's what I like talking. I like talking about, I had a podcast earlier today, and we spent like half an hour just talking about like Napoleon. So we were all like, it was awesome again, and especially like you guys are young, so like we all relate to each other more than somebody who's like 50 or 60 years old and was impressed with my performance and thank you, all that. But then with you guys, we can laugh and make jokes and all that and relate. So
all right, let's hit some closing questions. JL, you got anything for Steven before he gets out of here?
Nothing film related. Like add me on PS4, bro.
I was gonna say we need to play some Fall Guys.
Is that what you guys play on?
I have a PS4. Yeah, I can turn my laptop around and show you the whole setup of like my Switch, my monitor, the PC, and PS4 right here.
Yeah, no, I just got this laptop about a month and a half ago. It's a Spectre gaming laptop, and so I just. It's really nice to be able to run because I've always played PC games on like a regular computer, and so everything's on. I'm not like I can't play GTA, right? I can't play like anything like that. I have to play like strategy games on low.
Yeah.
So finally, like money came in, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna treat myself and get a gaming laptop.
Right.
Hell yeah.
Is that what you all got? Do you guys play on laptops or just PlayStation?
See, I want to build like my next big purchase. Me and JL have been talking about this. Our next big purchases are probably going to be like getting a gaming PC or getting a gaming PC. But for now, I think it would be PS4 mainly for me.
And is that you too, Tyler?
I'm a Switch guy for right now.
I have a Switch too, but
is it worth? Do you guys think?
Yes.
So, I don't say I'm too busy to play a Switch because I know that I'm not. Right.
Yeah.
But the question is like, am I going to play a Switch? When I have the PlayStation and I have this new gaming laptop, should I get a Switch like on the go or whatever? Because I don't play games on my phone. I keep playing games on my phone. But I had a PlayStation Portable. I had a PSP back in the day.
Classic.
Yeah, and I didn't have an SD card for it, so I had to make sure that it would never die, or else I would lose all my I couldn't play any other game.
The always on PSP.
Yeah. So like I would have Grand Theft Auto, Vice City Stories, and I could never play anything else, and I couldn't let it die.
Oh my God.
I would have to start over, And so when that did happen, I would get mad and then take the game out and play something else. But it's just only when that would happen because I didn't understand the concept of an SD card when I was like 8 or 9. So
Yeah, for sure.
The only two things I've played on, because I've, played with a Switch before. My friends have it and we play. So I've played Smash and I've played
yes, dude.
Mario Kart,
I love
yeah.
Ultimate. It's so much fun.
It is. I mean, I remember we four of us, we were doing this trip for school. And so over like a 2-day trip to Dallas, and in our hotel room, like we hooked up the Switch to the TV and we were all playing all night.
Yes.
Playing, Smash. But I think about it, I'm like, man, I feel like I'm just too late to get into the game. Yeah, or too late to get. It's like,
it's never too late.
I didn't play Smash until my senior year of college, and now
he's great at Smash. Tyler's by far the best Smash player here, by the way.
Chill.
I will look at. I'm looking at the PlayStation 5 like around Christmas time.
Yeah, totally.
But I mean, if that's going to be a gift to me, then I would actually just look at getting a Switch for myself. I will definitely, because there's nobody I can talk to about this.
Talk to us.
Yeah. There's like the most, I spend most of my time is divided between like school and then film commitments and all that kind of stuff, and then like social life. What I really mean by that is like a girlfriend. Yeah. and then playing games, right? So like there's nobody I know who owns a Switch, and I'd be like, is it worth it? But I would definitely look into it. I know that there's some stuff. I think I'm a huge Dragon Ball fan, so I've seen stuff for that on there, I think. But yeah, I mean, I will definitely add you guys on. We'll add JL and Andy on PlayStation, and then Tyler when I get a Switch.
I love it.
So,
I guess one semi-serious question is, do you plans for the future? Are you still interested in like electoral politics, or I'm sure you've been asked that before. It's a really basic question, but what are your plans?
Any hope of that died with this podcast episode, but no.
Dirt on you.
Yeah, no. I mean, I'm an average person, and I'm young, right? Like we're Zoomers, so this is this is not going to affect me at all, and it's me, and it's a natural, genuine conversation, and we're all having fun with it. I don't have any plans to run for office. I find it weird when people decide that they're going to run for all. Like,
I agree.
It's weird. Like, I think running for office isn't something you plan for, but something you step up to. There's some people like I think of like Ted Cruz, has been basically running for president his whole life.
Well, when he wasn't the Zodiac killer.
Yeah, when he wasn't. And in my government class, somebody outed me from voice, like, hey, I answered a question or something in our group me, and they're like, wait a minute, you're Steven Garza from Boise State, and I'm like, yeah. And then I sent a picture of the Ted Cruz sticker that says, "This man ate my son."
Classic.
That is a classic.
I'm gonna get that. I'm gonna order one of those and put it on my new laptop.
Hell yeah.
So, Andy, you're the one who messaged me, right?
Yeah. Really, like DMing you was just the like, well, I'm gonna shoot my shot and see what happens.
It's good to show, like, don't be afraid to. I mean, there was I mean, again, we're all reading everything, and we're all looking at it. We're all looking at stuff. And I was into this podcast about the film by these two girls. It was like their first podcast episode, and they were kind of nervous, and they talked about it, and they mentioned it, like, I don't know if you ever hear this, but and so I sent them a message. I'm like, hey, like, keep it up, great work, great first episode, and you never know who's listening. So
that's so cool.
Just go for it. And with Boise State, it's daunting to throw yourself into it, but I mean, like, you'll never know unless you try. Best case scenario, they say yes. Worst case scenario, they can't.
Right.
And all it takes is a few seconds out of your day.
Steven Garza, thank you for coming on the Now Screening podcast. You've been an amazing guest, and I am proud to call you close personal celebrity friend of the podcast, Steven Garza. Thank you thank you to A24 and the people who made Boy State and everyone behind it. Amazing film. Check it out now on Apple TV. Steven, any closing remarks?
Watch the show. I mean, keep listening. I mean, you guys have been wonderful. I think this is my, with young people has been my favorite. I mean, just because, I mean, we spent about half of it talking about the film and half of it talking about some other stuff,
Yeah.
Yeah, naturally.
It's cool, people get to know me on, like, I'm not just all about politics. I have other interests and hobbies.
That was the goal.
Right.
Yeah, I'm a teenager. I like movies and video games and messing around.
Yeah.
So
All right.
thanks for having me.
Thank you for being on. Thank you for
so much.
listening, and tune back in next week to see what's now screening.